You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Coming up, Galen Zook and Dawn Bach pull into the studio to tell us about a tractor pull for a good cause.
And a new study takes a look at weight loss and aims to dispel the idea that some people can lose weight simply by changing their diet.
And we are starting off with a nice day as the sun rises across the 4 states. Temperatures in the 60s, but it's going to be a hot one. We'll have the latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Authorities respond to a crash Thursday morning. They say the 16-year-old driver was driving a farm vehicle when he went off the road and overturned in Phelps, Missouri. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The passenger suffered moderate injuries. A crash in Newton County takes the life of a Granby, Missouri man. Authorities say 90-year-old George Eads was traveling east on Highway H 4 miles east of Neosho. When he turned, he failed to yield for another vehicle that hit him. Eads was pronounced dead at the scene. The other driver received minor injuries. A Grove, Oklahoma man pleads guilty to a second-degree murder charge. Authorities say Cody Buzzard helped kill Jerry Tapp in August of 2019. Buzzard's father, James, and his brother, Dakota, are also charged in the case, but are still awaiting court proceedings. You can read more about this case on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. The continuing heat is making it hard for people to keep their grass healthy. Twin Hills Golf Course in Joplin is prepared for this and has a plan ready for the heat. General manager of the golf club says their superintendent takes good care of the golf course, especially the greens, which are the most important parts for the golfers. If there was a lot of rain with the extreme heat, it could actually be worse for the greens than the lack of rain. However, it's still costly to water often.
This time of the year when we get no help from Mother Nature, we have to help it ourselves. So we have irrigation lakes that we pump out of. It does cost us a little bit more in the summer to fill those lakes up with electricity, water. We hope that Mother Nature gives at least some water in our irrigation lakes.
Ellen says even though it's more expensive to water the courses by themselves instead of with the help with rain, it gives them better control on how the course will look. And coming up later in our show, KOAM's Yana Hatula takes us out to the golf course for a closer look at this story. Some residents in Miami are receiving very high monthly utility bills, as high as $1,100. Miami deals with its utilities by combining water, electricity, and other utilities all onto one bill. City officials are updating the bill format to be transparent. Residents will see specific charges. The city rates have not changed, but the GRDA increased its rates and charges.
The city of Miami has not had a rate increase for city electric or city water, and some of the charges that our citizens are seeing are being passed down from GRDA. That includes the purchase power adjustment as well as the PCAX charge that they see.
During the peak of demand for natural gas, GRDA raised its prices by more than 200%. 811 Day is an annual initiative led by the U.S. Department of Transportation's Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration to ensure the practice of safe digging is echoed in communities across the country. Officials with Spire Energy say it's an important message.
It's very important because there's a lot of utilities in the ground at this point. And it can create a safety hazard for the public, for you and the public, the person doing the actual excavating, and then people around that area.
For more information about safe digging and excavation, you can visit Spire's website. In Atlanta, one pup has gone from the animal shelter to the big screen. Coco is the breakout star and one of the summer's biggest hits on Hulu. She plays the lead character's four-legged companion in the film Prey. Comes after Fulton County Animal Services took care of Coco in early 2021. The shelter said in a post on its Facebook page that it shines a light on the potential of shelter dogs and what they are capable of when given a chance. Coco reportedly had no film training and was adopted by her forever family specifically for the project.
That's pretty cool. I mean, and especially considering that it was a shelter dog that made it to the big screen. Like
what an adorable dog.
Shelter pets are just as good as any other, if not better. And in this case, Coco definitely better.
Yes.
Because she made it to the big leagues.
And
so.
I hope after the film, after, you know, everything's said and done, that Coco has a nice family home.
I'm sure that he or she will. I didn't catch that. But either way, Coco, I'm sure, will have an excellent home and potentially star in more movies as well.
Yeah.
So you never know. I mean, if she's doing so well in this movie, maybe Coco will make it into some other ones. We'll have to keep an eye out for Coco in the movies as they go on. Something else we're keeping an eye out on is this guy, the sun. He's going to rise, and he's going to bring temperatures right along with him that are going to rise. But right now, not yet. Clear skies in Joplin, 64 as we start the day. All of us starting in the 60s this morning, 64 in Yates Center and Iola, 62 Fort Scott, Nevada. Then we got mid-60s to the south, 65 in Miami, 66 in Neosho and Anderson. And it will continue to warm up through the day. Temperatures will reach into the mid to even upper 90s in some cases across the area, getting down to 87 by 8 o'clock. Mostly clear skies otherwise with a light southeast breeze. Tonight, some partly cloudy skies, so it shouldn't completely obstruct your view of the Perseid meteor shower. In fact, the only thing that could impact that is the fact we have a full moon. The full moon kind of drowns out the brilliance of the meteor shower. Overnight lows dropping progressively into the lower 70s and upper 60s, and that light southeast breeze holds on. And as we head into the weekend, 100 on Saturday, 101 on Sunday under partly cloudy skies. We've got some passing clouds. Otherwise, it's going to be hot, and it's going to be great pool weather. And a quick check of the 7-day forecast does show us that the triple digits run all the way into Monday, but then we have those increasing storm chances that build Tuesday and Wednesday and bring our temperatures down into the upper 90s. Goodness, that's not a break at all. The upper 80s, though, that is a break. And the nice thing is, to give your AC a break, despite the high temperatures, overnight lows looking pretty good. We get back into the lower 60s as we head into the middle of next week. So not bad overall. We just got to get through a handful of really hot days, and then we get another break, and we get much more needed rain. So a good forecast all around if you can survive a couple of days of triple digits.
All right. Well, up next, a new study says mental exhaustion can equal physical exhaustion. We're going to explain why.
And later, there's finally a video game for everything. We take a look at a new game where you can power wash to your heart's content. We're not kidding here. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
In Health Watch this morning, a large-scale new study says Myrna COVID-19 vaccines are safe to use during pregnancy. It looked at the medical histories of women who received either the Moderna or Pfizer shot while pregnant. Within a week of their second dose, 7% felt unwell enough for any reason to miss time from work or school. Now, non-pregnant women were actually more likely to report that kind of health event after getting a mRNA COVID vaccine. And new research from the University of Ottawa aims to dispel the idea that anyone can lose weight by changing their diet. It found that some obese patients can gain weight even when they adhere to a prescribed meal plan. For those individuals, it was key to combine a low-calorie diet with exercise, particularly a regimen that burns fat and boosts metabolism. And a study in the journal Current Biology explains why mentally taxing work can be physically exhausting as well. The authors say spending hours doing cognitively intense tasks can lead to a buildup of a potentially toxic brain chemical known as glutamate. Essentially, too much thinking can overload the brain, prompting it to send a shutdown signal to the rest of the body. A good night's sleep usually sets things right again. Isn't that the truth? Well, it's time to celebrate youth across the globe today. Today is World Youth Day. The day was created by the United Nations 22 years ago. In addition to celebrating the world's youth, it aims to raise awareness of the challenges they face. They include poverty and lack of education, healthcare, and opportunities. Concerts, workshops, and cultural events are held to mark the day each year. To promote the day, you can post to the social media hashtag Youth Day.
So yesterday, of course, we were celebrating children in general. Now we get to celebrate youth, which practically the same thing, but still worth celebrating all around. I got so caught up with Coco earlier that I completely forgot that we haven't taken a look at this day in weather history, and we're going to do that very quickly. So on this day, back in 1778, we're going way back in time here, there was a hurricane that struck Rhode Island, causing extensive damage, and it also prevented an impending sea battle between the French and British during the Revolutionary War. How about that? Skywatch storm tracker, no hurricanes to show, although I did learn that for reasons I don't understand, the computer, I could draw a hurricane on here if I wanted to. In fact, it allows me to draw a number of random things. And I'm not entirely certain as to why it lets me do that, but it's kind of fun to mess around with on occasion. So you have to go, actually, the few stray showers we had in northeast Missouri are now gone. There's nothing in our immediate area, and it's going to stay that way for the next few days. 7th and range line, clear skies. Very clear skies, which means it's also going to warm up a little bit later, but not yet. We're not there yet. The sun's not high enough in the sky. 64 is where we're at in Joplin. All of us starting the day in the 60s. 64 Yates Center in Iola. 62 Fort Scott in Nevada. 64 in Columbus. 63 in Grove. And 66 in Anderson as we walk out the door this morning. Now, the temperatures will continue to rise as the sun climbs higher into the sky, which means we're going to be seeing highs in the mid to upper 90s. Under mostly clear skies with a southeast breeze that's about as good as you fanning yourself, because it's going to be about 3 to 6 miles an hour. So it's really not going to help out. Temperatures will gradually drop back off into the lower 70s and upper 60s. So again, not a bad evening and an opportunity to give your AC a break, because as we take a look at the weekend forecast, it's going to need it. Highs tomorrow, 100 degrees on Saturday, 101 on Sunday. It's going to be hot with partly cloudy skies. Excellent opportunity to go jump into a pool or the local lake, whatever is your particular choice to help keep cool. The hot temperatures will stick around with us through Monday, but then take a look at this icon. It's become a favorite of everybody here lately. Thunderstorms build in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, bring our temperatures down to the upper 80s, which will be very nice. A brief rebound on Thursday before another system comes in Friday. And if this holds, look at this, 78 in the middle of August by next Friday, and it doesn't heat up very quickly behind that either, which is also a nice thing. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We're joined by a couple of special guests, Galen Zook and Don Bach, who are here to tell us all about a special event that's coming up in Seneca. So welcome to the show, gentlemen. It's great to have you here. So,
good morning.
Tell me first a little bit about what you've got going on.
On Saturday, August 13th, 4 o'clock, we're going to have the second annual tractor pull. We're raising money to put a handicap swing in the city park. We're going to put money to the veterans. We did this last year, and we only had one sled, and the money went to the veterans. We did a backpack program and some other stuff. This year, we're doing 2 sleds, and we're going to pull everything and anything, pretty much. And if we're going to do, we got food vendors, craft vendors. We're doing a 50-50 pot. We're doing a cooler raffle, and we just got a lot to do.
Gotcha. And so you said this is the second year for this. So what was the inspiration behind getting this started?
Last year, somebody said it couldn't happen, and we put it together in 3.5 weeks and made it happen. I was going to buy a pulling sled to do it, and I hooked up with Midwest Pullers to make it happen, and they're awesome. And this year we decided to go bigger and bring in more classes, more tractors and stuff. So this year we're going to do mini hot rods, razors, side-by-sides. We're going to do tractors. I mean, Galen will tell you all about the different classes, but if you ain't never seen a side-by-side pull, come on out. It's all for the veterans and stuff, but we are going to get that handicap swing made.
See, how important is it for the community to have that handicap swing? I know we've heard the stories of some of the bigger communities around here that have invested in handicap accessible parks, but for a community like Seneca, that's not something that can necessarily be easily done. So how important is this to be able to do that?
Well, our ex-fire chief, Darren King, had come up with this idea because he went somewhere across the state of Missouri to look at one that was put in a city park, and he wanted to make this happen. And my sister was handicapped in a wheelchair all her life. But, I mean, there's a lot of handicapped people, whether they're kids or adults, and they'll have the opportunity to wheel their wheelchair in there and just be able to swing. It's a factory-made deal. It's certified and stamped. It's nothing homemade. So that's what we're working on.
And that's something that's very important, is to also make sure that that park is all inclusive, so that
Yep.
everybody has an opportunity to get out there and just relax and enjoy.
Right. And if we get to the point where we can make this happen and it works, you know, we're going to try to put one at the school. And then we might try to do, you know, put one somewhere else.
Gotcha. And so, talking about the sled specifically, what all's going on with that? Because you mentioned you've got something special to talk about.
We're going to go ahead and just continue our Midwest pullers. We're going to have our 16 classes. We'll start out, you know, with the garden tractors. We got motorcycle-powered tractors. We got V8s. We're going to have some well-known vehicles there, or tractors there that's pretty popular, you know, fans that like. And then on the antique sled, we're going to go with antique classes. We added pickups this year. We want to make something, we want to make sure that it's stock only, no pro stock pickups, because our sled can't handle the pro stocks because it's for the antique pulls. But other than that, we got several classes. There'll be a lot of entertainment. We'll have over probably 100 hooks on the garden tractor side, and we're probably hoping around 70, 80 hooks on the antique sled. So
there's a lot going on down there, and this begins tomorrow. You said 4 o'clock. And where do people need to go? What do they need to know if they want to get down there and take part in all of this?
The address is 13976 Bethel Road, and it's at the Seneca Rodeo Arena. And bring lawn chairs. We've got bleachers, but you might bring a lawn chair just in case.
Gotcha. And of course, it's going to be a little bit hot tomorrow, so you mentioned you've also got some vendors that'll be out there that might help cool people down.
Well, we have a big tent, like a fireworks tent, they're putting up tonight at 6 o'clock. So our craft vendors will be underneath that, and we're just going to kind of get some shade. Might have some big fans out there blowing some air around.
everybody ought to be used to it by now.
Right. With what we've seen over this past summer, I mean, 100 degrees is nothing for most folks right now. So, well, gentlemen, thank you again so much for coming in this morning. And, of course, if you missed anything, don't worry. We've got all of the information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. And we'll be right back.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Staff Sergeant Gary Klein. The Garnett, Kansas native served in Vietnam from 1965 to 1967 as part of the Ground Elect Engineering Industrial Agency. To Staff Sergeant Gary Klein, we thank you, today's four-state hero.
So it really is a video game for everything. Everything. And there's a new one now. It's turning power washing into a Zen-like experience.
Well, Rick Damigella has the squeaky clean details in this week's Game On.
Freshening a fouled fountain, polishing a polluted plane, scouring a sullied subway, so many things are in desperate need of a deep cleaning in Power Wash Simulator. The object of the game is to clean up by running a successful power washing business, blasting filthy locations to pristine condition.
Essentially, you're going around power washing things, everyday objects to pretty crazy things like massive ancient statues. And it does actually have a story in the background, and you'll unravel that through the career mode as you go along.
There's no pressure while playing.
It's about satisfying moments, reaching a moment of zen. It's definitely not stressful, it's chilled out, there's no time limits, there's no restrictions. You're just there in your element with power washing.
The game has good, clean origins from a dirty sounding source.
There's a subreddit on Reddit called Power Washing Porn, which isn't what it sounds like. It's just literally videos and GIFs and images of before power washing and after power washing. And that literally was the moment the game was formed.
Previously playable on PC, players can now power wash to their heart's content on Xbox. Leveling up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
There is something strangely satisfying, though, about watching that. Like,
my question is, other than the dirt itself, are there any obstacles that you have to overcome, or adversaries?
No, your obstacle and adversary is the dirt. And that's really all you have to worry about. That's a pretty good game. We were just talking, as soon as you're done power washing, you can then go and be a stray cat for a couple hours.
Didn't I see they made a video game about folding laundry too, or something like that?
I haven't heard, but honestly, it would not surprise me.
Maybe, I just don't know if that would intrigue people to want to fold laundry.
They need to create a video game about what we do.
Anchoring?
Yeah.
Or just...
I mean, I've got a police simulator game. Now, granted, this game, the way you solve certain situations is nowhere near accurate, but it is relaxing to play. But it's fun, and I think you could do something like that where you have to come in and prepare the day's news and, I don't know, go out in the field. I don't know. I mean, if you can create a game about power washing, you can create a job about reading the news.
Sure.
I think
Producing the news, too.
Yeah, you maybe make it where you can choose your role, be the producer, be the general manager, build your station.
Be the director.
Hire the talent, bring in the people, make the revenue, because revenue is what makes these lights stay on.
That's right.
So it could be a fun game for somebody.
Well, another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. If it's Friday, that means our own Shannon Becker is back in studio bringing us the big 3 stories of the week.
And we've got body cam footage of a jailbird that tries to fly the coop. Yes, that's exactly what you think. He's not doing a good job. Jeannie Moose brings us a story of a wild goose chase with a turkey. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We will be right back.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:31. Let's take a look at today's top stories. A Grove, Oklahoma man pleads guilty to a second-degree murder charge. Authorities say Cody Buzzard helped kill Jerry Tapp in August of 2019. Buzzard's father, James, and his brother Dakota are also charged in the case, but are still awaiting court proceedings. You can read more about this case on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. A crash in Newton County takes the life of a Granby, Missouri man. Authorities say 90-year-old George Eads was traveling east on Highway H, 4 miles east of Neosho. When he turned, he failed to yield for another vehicle that hit him. Eads was pronounced dead at the scene. The other driver received minor injuries. And authorities responded to a crash Thursday morning. They say the 16-year-old driver was driving a farm vehicle when he went off the road and overturned in Phelps, Missouri. He was pronounced dead at the scene. The passenger suffered moderate injuries. Well, some residents of Miami are receiving very high monthly utility bills, as high as $1,100. Miami deals with its utilities by combining water, electricity, and other utilities all into one bill. City officials are updating the bill format to be transparent, and residents will see specific charges. City rates have not changed, but the GRDA increased its rates and charges.
The City of Miami has not had a rate increase for city electric or city water, and some of the charges that our citizens are seeing are being passed down from GRDA. That includes the purchase power adjustment as well as the PCAX charge that they see.
During the peak of demand for natural gas, the GRDA raised its prices by more than 200%. 811 Day is an annual initiative led by the U.S. Department of Transportation's Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration to ensure the practice of safe digging is echoed in communities across the country. Officials with Spire Energy say it's an important message.
It's very important because there's a lot of utilities in the ground at this point. And it can create a safety hazard for the public, for you and the public, the person doing the actual excavating and around that area.
For more information about safe digging and excavation, you can visit Spire's website. Well, the continuing heat is making it hard for people to get their grass healthy. Twin Hills Golf Course in Joplin is prepared for this and has a plan ready for the heat. KOAM's Yana Hatula has more.
Heat and lack of rain has been bothering the Twin Hills Golf and Country Club in Joplin. However, a great amount of rain would actually be harmful for the important parts of the course, the greens.
The water that sits in those greens, and when it heats up, it's almost like putting water in a saucepan and putting it on your oven, and it just starts to boil from underneath.
The lack of rain gives the country club more control on how much water the grass gets, so the team can monitor them easier. Still, watering the whole course often costs the country club more.
This time of the year when we get no help from Mother Nature, we have to help it ourselves. So we have irrigation lakes that we pump out of. It does cost us a little bit more in the summer to fill those lakes up with electricity.
It can take a lot of planning to keep your grass area healthy during the hot summer. A local resident says to keep it simple.
Not have large garden areas, but to have smaller garden areas that you can really focus on and not be so disjointed in terms of trying to take care of too many areas.
Joplin resident Dan Stanley says he trusts professionals to take care of his yard during the hot weather.
I work about 6 days a week, and then we go to church on Sunday and do family things on Sunday, so I've always employed someone to help us with that.
He says if the grass is already turned brown, you have the next spring to look forward to.
Accept it and not fight it, because it's not money well spent to run water if it's going to be warm for an extended period of time.
In Joplin, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
Experts say fertilizers help keeping your lawn good. Well, this morning we are discussing playing musical instruments in the case of Myrna Ashua and Jake Shell, drums specifically. Jake is the founder and CEO of Drumbox, company that creates spaces for drummers to practice and not have to worry about bothering anyone. Now, the space Myrna is practicing in is an ATM building from the 80s that Jake had converted into a practice space. Now Jake and Myrna play the drums, but there are millions of people who have picked up any number of instruments you can beat, strum, or blow into to make music. And we want to know if you are one of them. That's what we're asking today. Can you play a musical instrument? Chris is playing one as he sneezes over.
Yeah, I felt it coming, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. So far, hey, check it out. Now it's a 50-50 split on yes and no if you can play a musical instrument. So make sure you vote. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Do so in our app, and then take part in discussion on our Facebook page. Skywatch Storm Tracker has absolutely nothing to show us, and that's how it's going to remain for the next few days. 7th and Rangeline has a beautiful sky to show us as we start our Friday morning. It's 64 in Joplin. Hard to believe it is August right now. As we look at all of these numbers, we're all in about the mid-60s now. 64 in Yates Center, 66 in Iola, 64 in Welch, and 64 in Anderson. As we go through the day today, it will heat up. We're talking the mid to maybe even upper 90s for some of us. Getting down to 87 by 8, as you can see, completely clear skies with a light southeast breeze. Going into tonight, temperatures drop back slowly into the lower 70s and upper 60s, and that southeast breeze prevails. And then tomorrow, 100 on Saturday, 101 on Sunday for your weekend. Partly cloudy skies. It's going to be hot, but it's going to be for great pool weather. Just make sure you take the sunscreen. We got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Welcome back. We've got Shannon Becker in studio this morning here to reveal the big three of the week.
And we've got them for you. On the web, you can always check it out, KOAM News Now. It's our number 3 story this week. Joplin News First, a dump truck crash and burn. It was Monday morning on I-44, just to the east of Range Line's exit. Blowout in the front tire of this truck caused it to veer through a guardrail and then crash at the bottom of an embankment. Caught fire, but the driver was able to crawl through the busted windshield, get out safely. He wasn't even hurt. Went home that afternoon before they even towed it away. Can you believe it?
And that story, there were actually some electric workers that were nearby to help them.
Liberty utility workers were nearby the substation there, right on the edge of Silver Creek, and they used all their fire extinguishers, but found the driver was already up the hill and was like waving at him like, hey, I'm all right. So, I mean, that's amazing, but it's great to see them being a part of our community. Obviously, they all live here too. Our number 2 story, a man killed on Baseline Boulevard, just to the west of I-49. A local man from Carthage was killed near 150, County Road 150, as this lime spreader overturned violently and threw him from the vehicle. He did not survive, died at the scene. Our number 1 story, it's one of those that I almost can't believe. A stranger with candy at Cherokee, Kansas, approaching kids and offering them candy in his underwear. It's disgusting, of course, but it's almost unbelievable to me. It happened in this park in Cherokee, Kansas, and that car caught on surveillance video. Cherokee, Kansas sheriff's deputies say they are looking for this Northeast Oklahoma man. In 2002, he was convicted and given 20-year sentence, a convicted child sex offender. He is that stranger with candy, and he just got off of probation recently. Bizarre, isn't that?
Well, and you always warn your kids, don't talk to strangers and never accept candy from
Can
strangers.
you imagine?
Like this is,
I know.
oh, double whammy.
Our bonus story of the week, it's bittersweet. The 66 Drive-In this weekend, they're remembering Olivia Newton-John in a double feature, Grease and Footloose. So for the old people like me, you can see Grease and then go home because, I mean, I can't stay up that late. You know, I'm a grandpa. But the 66 Drive-In, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If you haven't been this summer, it's a great time to go. It's really fun. It's nostalgic. They show in the intermission all the things you remember as a kid. It's really, really cool. Have you been there before?
Yeah, I went 2 weekends ago.
Oh, well, see, you're a pro. She's a pro. That's our big 3 stories of the week. Joplin News First. KOAM News Now is where you find all of our stories.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next Friday.
I'll be here.
And you'll be busy throughout the week, I'm
yeah,
sure.
of course.
We'll be right back.
In Consumer Watch this morning, Johnson & Johnson says it will discontinue its talc-based baby powder worldwide. This comes about 2 years after doing so here in North America. The pharma giant faces nearly 40,000 lawsuits claiming the talc powder caused illness, including cancer, because of asbestos contamination, which is a known carcinogen. In a statement, J&J says it stands behind decades of independent scientific analysis confirming its talc baby powder is safe, does not contain asbestos, and does not cause cancer. Driving off with that shiny new car is likely to cost more than ever. Auto research company Kelley Blue Book says the average price Americans paid for a new vehicle in July hit a record of more than $48,000. Unusually high demand and low inventories are driving new car prices higher. And once you buy a car, the expenses keep mounting. AAA says owning a vehicle typically costs about close to $900 a year, up from just over $800 in 2021. And the U.S. Postal Service is increasing rates for holiday shipping beginning in October. First-class packages will get a surcharge between 30 cents and $5.85, depending on the weight and distance. We're back with more after this, but first we're going to take a look at market prices before the opening bell.
When police release body cam footage, it's often after a tragedy.
But not in the case of a recent wild turkey chase in Wausau, Wisconsin.
As Jeannie Moose reports on a breaking and entering case that's truly for the birds.
You expect to see a turkey at the Thanksgiving parade or on your plate.
Yeah.
But not breaking and entering.
Somehow it got through that second-story window and broke the glass.
I guess that answers the question, can turkeys fly?
Well, at least 2 stories, yeah.
With a perpetrator flapping around an unoccupied apartment in Wausau, Wisconsin, Patrol Officer Benjamin Thuman suited up.
I want the gloves and the net, though, is what I'm saying.
It's a turkey, not a tiger.
Yeah, it's gonna scratch, dude. Have you hunted turkey before?
Officer Thuman, no known relation to the company that makes deli meat, including turkey, breached the door.
I see it.
A female turkey. Now it was Officer Thuman's turn to tease.
What are you hiding over there for?
The first skirmish started in the living room.
I told you it's getting...
Then moved from the kitchen to a bedroom. This wasn't a first for Wausau police. Last year, they had to eject a deer from a nursing home. Within minutes, the officer's body cams recorded the turkey's capture.
Hey, well done.
But what to do with her?
It seemed like you guys were considering tossing it out the window.
We figured it came in this way, so maybe it can come out that way.
But they decided safer to carry her out.
It's all right, buddy.
She was released.
There you go. Well done.
Without bail. At least she didn't wind up wearing prison stripes.
It's a turkey, not a tiger.
Jeannie Moose, CNN, New York.
Put it right in the bum.
Interesting.
That last image would be worse than wearing prison stripes.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. The true meaning of jailbird. Okay.
Yeah, at least she got away. So that's a good thing, because if they'd thrown her in jail, she would have been a nice, tasty meal for some tigers.
We might be smoking a turkey tonight too. So.
Oh, how interesting! It's like you
Talk
planned
about
your
the
day.
timing.
I see what's going on here. I see exactly what's going on here. You planned all this.
We'll take it.
You planned it. Okay, so weather, it's looking pretty good. This 7th in range line, we are starting the day off with clear skies, a sunny start to the day, 64 in Joplin right now. And we're all kind of sitting into the 60s this morning. As we go take a look at the wider view, we got 65 in Yates Center. We've got 67 in Iola, 65 in Fort Scott, 66 in Nevada. It's just a nice start to the day all around. Unfortunately, it's going to start to warm up. So we're going to see highs pushing about the mid-90s. Some of us may even see the upper 90s under mostly clear skies. This is day one of where these temperatures are really going to start to build. 87 by 8 with a light southeast breeze. Tonight, good opportunity to open the windows, let the AC have a break again. Dropping back eventually into the lower 70s and upper 60s with that southeast breeze holding on. And then the weekend is where it starts to really warm up. 100 on Saturday, 101 on Sunday. To be sunny, hot, passing clouds, but like we've been saying, it makes for great pool weather. The future track has absolutely nothing to show us. Most of the cloud cover through today and into early tomorrow sticking around to our east. And you can see the decent temperatures as we start our day. Not as cool as they are today, but still not bad. But they very quickly warm up tomorrow as we push those highs around 100 degrees with some partly cloudy skies across the area. The 7-day forecast where things actually get a little bit on the interesting side is 100, 101, 103 Monday, and then a storm system comes in, brings us rain Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It also knocks the temperatures down into the upper 80s. And then we have a slight rebound on Thursday. And as we back out and see the whole thing, if this holds, we've got a storm system coming in on Friday that will bring us not only storm chances, but we're talking it's the middle of August with highs maybe not making it out of the 70s. The 70s! A pretty decent deal if this all holds true. And look at, I mean, just check that drop. That's nice. And then it doesn't warm up as quickly either behind that, only in the 80s by next weekend. And overnight lows are at least low enough to make sure your AC gets a little rest. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this break.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The Justice Department is asking a federal court to unseal the warrant used to search former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. In a statement, Trump says he encourages the immediate release of those documents. The search is part of a DOJ investigation into the former president's handling of materials as he was leaving the White House, including classified documents. House Democrats are hoping to pass a landmark climate, healthcare, and tax bill today. The Inflation Reduction Act includes nearly $400 billion to fight climate change. It also allows Medicare to negotiate drug prices and puts a limit on how much seniors spend out of pocket on medication. Republicans strongly oppose the legislation, arguing it may increase inflation, partly due to a new 15% tax rate on corporations in the bill. CDC is easing its COVID-19 guidelines, saying it estimates 95% of Americans 16 and older have some level of immunity to the virus. The health agency no longer recommends a quarantine for close contacts of an infected person, and there is no longer a need to maintain 6 feet of space between people.
As we head through today, it's really going to warm up. Highs in the mid-90s, some of us even going into the upper 90s as the hot temperatures begin to build in. They'll gradually cool off tonight, lower 70s, upper 60s as we start our day on Saturday. And speaking of Saturday, we're talking 100 degrees with partly cloudy skies and a repeat on Sunday. And maybe a degree or two warmer as well, but it's going to make for some great pool weather. The good news is in the 7-day, we have some breaks. So we have 3 days of triple digits to get through. And then storms build in Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And with that comes not only the rain chances that we so desperately need, but it also brings considerably, well, not considerably, but cooler temperatures regardless. We're talking highs in the upper 80s.
All right, well, Lego is going big to celebrate its 90th birthday, which was actually yesterday.
It unveiled a massive birthday cake of Legos made from a whopping 94,128 bricks and pieces.
Now, we showed you the cake yesterday, but we didn't show you how they made it. This video shows all the work employees did to build the 9-layer cake, 1 layer for each of the 9 decades of Lego play.
It's on display at the Lego House in Billund, Denmark. And the company is also celebrating with its first World Play Day with events around the world to encourage and help families and communities to play more.
Yeah. Ooh, Lego fun facts. Do you have some?
We do. Which I didn't know this yesterday. Danish carpenter Ole Kirk Christensen founded the company in 1932. It's still family owned.
The Lego brick in its current form was first manufactured in 1958.
And Lego, by the way, comes from the Danish phrase "læg godt," which means play well.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and letting us put the good in your morning. We're back with more news and weather at noon.
I hope you have a great morning and an even læg godt day.